How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Emnix Plays Path of Exile, ELI5 edition. We are at the end of Act 2, and I was looking through the vendor, looking at wands, actually. Um, I wasn't planning, I normally don't do this. I normally don't look at the wands or buy from the vendor typically, but I was actually looking for better colors. Like, I wanted better sockets on my wand. I noticed this one, blue, blue, green. It seemed okay, but then I moused over this one and I'm like, wait, this one's pretty good. It has flat spell damage twice and it has critical strike chance for spells. It only costs an alteration. It doesn't have the socket colors that I would like. And I really wanted to I really wanted to three link both the Frostbolt as well as the Volley. But you know what? This one probably gives a lot more damage. So DPS for Ice Nova is 612. With this wand, it becomes 644. Yeah, so it is. Is it significant? It's all right. But you know, it's probably good enough for me to use it. Now, this is where I can introduce the chromatic orb, right? I haven't really talked about too many orbs in this game or the currency in this game. You know, there is transmute, alteration, and augmentation, and these are the ones that modify white items into blue or blue items in general. So transmute takes a white item, turns it into a blue item. Augmentation, it adds a new modifier to a blue item. So if you only have one stat line, this one for example, you use an augmentation and it can add one more line. So like I mentioned in last episode, blue items have two affixes, one prefix and one suffix. So this one had a prefix and now I added a suffix. There was really no need to do that because I was unequipping this wand anyways, but I just wanted to kind of show you. And the other wand, we rolled nothing good on it, so it is what it is. And then you have Orbs of Alteration, and Orbs of Alteration just re-rolls everything on a wand. So you have currently two stats on this wand, you could roll it, and then you end up with two completely different stats, or just one stat. At the end of the day though, you can only roll up to a maximum of two stats. So this is where you can kind of start to see the gambling system of Path of Exile. A lot of the game revolves around rolling stats and hoping that you hit like the perfect set of stats. Yeah, although in my case, I don't ever expect to hit the perfect set of stats. I just want to hit, like, you gotta set your expectations to a reasonable level, right? And the expectation is like I hit like a reasonable number of stats, like something that's good enough. Now going back to my original discussion, what I want to do is actually use the chromatic orb, and the chromatic orb does something a little bit differently. And I can kind of talk about that really quickly as well. Our previous wand was a blue-green wand, which allowed us to have a Frostbolt as well as a Volley support gem, and I still want to have this set up. Now looking at the stats of this thing, you can tell that it has 83 intelligence requirement, which means that it tends to prefer blue sockets. So if it has higher int requirement, it tends to prefer blue socket. If it has dex requirement, it tends to prefer green. And if it has strength requirement, it tends to prefer red. So if you look at this chest armor, for example, well, this one has no stat requirements whatsoever.
Make it.
Let's go to the shop. If you look at this the staff, right, it has two blue sockets as well as a red socket, and if you look at the stat requirement on it, it's 35 strength, 35 int, which explains why you got blue and red and no green. So it tends to roll those colors, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to change the colors on this thing to blue and green. There's a good chance it's going to roll blue blue, but what we're going to do is we're going to use our chromatic orb, which reforges the colors of sockets on an item. So it just randomly rolls all the colors, and it hit it. Okay, so we got blue green on this thing, and there you go. So chromatic orbs, you can use it. I would say the currencies that you can probably pretty freely use are these three: transmute, augmentation, alterations. You'll get plenty of them through the campaign, especially if you're not rushing it, and you're just like selling all the crap that you're picking up. And then chromatics you can use every now and then if you're really missing socket colors, but you should try not use too many. And you can kind of see, right? We have a lot more of these three currencies and a lot less of everything else. Jewelers, what Jewelers does is actually reforges the number of sockets, so it can change. You can't add socket, it'll re-roll socket numbers, but you know, say you have a 2 socket, I want 3 socket, you just keep hitting it with Jewelers until it rolls 3 sockets. So you hit it once, it turns into 1 socket, you hit it again, it turns into 2 socket, you hit it again, it turns into 3, right? And then fusing orbs basically fuses the links between those sockets, and again, it's a re-roll. So it's random. You can either get 1 link, you can get 2 links, you can get 3 links, depending on how many sockets you have, right? And then one-handed items can have a maximum of 3 sockets. Helmets, gloves, and boots can have a maximum of 4 sockets. There is a level requirement, so you cannot get 4 sockets until it's like level, I don't know, 25 or something. Let's call it that. I don't actually know what it is. And then two-handed weapons as well as chest armors can roll 6 sockets and 6 links, obviously. And again, it's like level 50 something before you can hit the 6 link, so don't try and get a low item level and like hit it with a million jeweler orbs, which you're not gonna have anyways, in order to try and get a 6 socket. Just for reference, to, you know, 6 socket, it probably costs somewhere like 400 jewelers to do, and then 6 link, it probably costs somewhere close to 1500 fusings. And I think 5 link is like 150 fusings, so you need a lot for a lot of currency to 5 link and 6 link. So the expectation is, as you're going through the campaign, you're gonna get you're gonna keep increasing the number of links you have until eventually you get 4 link, and at that point you're probably going to be stuck on 4 links for like the majority of the campaign. So you know, at some point, you know, the amount of damage that you're sort of climbing, right? Like you're creeping your damage up as you go through the campaign, and your damage goes up a lot because occasionally you'll find a new link. So you go from 1 link to 2 link to 3 link, and then your damage climbs like crazy. 3 link to 4 link, you know, it's like 50% boost in damage, and then you're gonna be on a bit of like a damage drought at that point. Instead, all of your damage upgrades is going to be coming from gear, as well as your tree, as well as gem levels, I suppose. I walked the wrong way. Oops. But yeah, so then, you know, the expectation is you're gonna be on a 4 link for a while, somewhere around Act 3 or 4. And if you find yourself in Act 4 and you're not using a 4 link and you're wondering why your damage sucks, that's probably the reason. So just keep that in mind. And you know, we're in Act 2. I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I wanted to sort of mention that. Also, even at this point, around Act 2 or 3, if you find yourself like you got your 3 link, you got your 4 link, and you still feel like there's not enough damage, check your auras. You know, are you running heralds? Because typically reserving your mana is very powerful in this game. So you want to reserve at least a portion of your mana, especially early on leveling. You can pick up some heralds, you can pick up some auras, stuff that gives you damage, right? So those are basically just buffs for your character, and you want to be running 1 or 2 buffs. So we're running Herald of Ice, we're running Clarity, and you can kind of tell Herald of Ice gives quite a bit of damage. If I turn it off, my damage goes down to 644. If I turn it on, it goes up to 730. So it adds, what's that, like 15-16% right now? If I could run another Herald, right? Currently the Herald is using 120 mana. It's reserving that much. I could run a second one, probably no problem, and I would have more damage. Why don't I do it? I definitely could, but I don't have the socket colors right now, because the other Herald I want to run is probably Herald of Thunder, which would be a blue gem, and I already dropped my movement skill, which is a blue gem, because I don't have the right socket colors. So that's also part of the reason why, you know, getting the right sockets is more important than anything, right? All right. Now, last episode we already talked about getting the loot filter, and how it's not like the game is not unplayable if you don't have a loot filter, despite what people might say. but it is immensely helpful. It is incredibly helpful. I agree with. I don't think at this point I would enjoy playing the game without a loot filter. If that gives you some kind of frame of reference, right? Okay. Let me hydrate a little. Mm. Want to make sure I'm not getting sick. My daughter, she's old is she now? She's 14 months. Or she's gonna be 14 months. She's not 14 months just yet. And we've been taking her out to these it's not exactly daycare. It's like pre-daycare programs. Where basically you go and they have like daycare assistants essentially. So it's similar to daycare. They have all these toys and then, you know, all the other kids show up, but the parents are there as well. So it's like supervised daycare where, you know, the parents are doing the supervision, but they also have people working there who are running like, you know, programs or reading books, and they're interacting with your kids, and it's just like an environment for these kids to socialize. And my wife has been taking my daughter to these programs a lot. And the thing with daycare that I didn't really realize, now everyone mentions it but you don't really think about it, is like it's just like it's like a cesspit of like germs, right? So I think my daughter is sick because we've been taking her to a lot more of these programs, and in turn I'm kind of worried that I'm getting sick as well, because I do feel a little bit of a scratch in the back of my throat. Hopefully I'm not sick. I've been mostly throughout this COVID period. I mean, we're way past it, right? We're 2023. Probably we've been out of lockdown for like 2 years now. But uh I've probably gotten sick a couple times. I did get COVID like mid April. By the way, there's a crafting recipe over here. I already picked it up from another character, but if you're just don't forget about it. So walk over here and pick up the crafting recipe when you get a chance. But yeah, like I haven't gotten sick too many times. Aside from getting COVID one time, I think I caught the flu maybe in like Christmas of this year, and that's about it. So I would prefer not to get sick. You know, I don't enjoy getting sick. Oh my god. By the way, if it wasn't fully clear, this is the act boss. Fighting him, honestly, you shouldn't have any issues fighting him. The only thing you need to watch out for is that giant laser. So once he starts casting those lasers, just make sure that you run around in circles and avoid it. Also, these rocks sometimes do a lot of damage. It deals physical damage, but for the most part, if you've been picking up HP nodes and grabbing some health on your gear, it's not gonna one-shot you. Really, that laser is the thing that would one-shot you. And this, how he like, there's like a really big animation, but when he slams like that, you just want to get out of the way, especially if you're playing a melee character. And just take your time. Eventually he'll die, and it should be a pretty easy fight. I remember the days when that dude used to kill a lot of characters. It used to be like a very difficult fight. Everybody would die. But that's like way in the past. These days, I'm pretty sure everybody can handle that fight with relative ease. I think if you're rushing, there's still a good chance that you could die from this, but excuse me. Otherwise, you should be good to go. Okay. 1 second. My wife is messaging me, so let me double check it's not something crazy important. Okay. This is whatever. My wife's like, there's a free barbecue on the weekend. There's an ice cream social. What is this? Ice cream social on the weekend. Do you want to go? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what did we pick up? What's interesting? This amulet could be interesting. It has dexterity. And again, I'm probably like super low on dexterity. I am. Is dexterity in life? Oh, that's decent. I could swap that. And it has strength too. So now, oh no, it doesn't have strength. It's dex and int. Okay. This wand is not good. This helmet, not really what I need. My current helmet is pretty insane. So much resistance. And then last time we got this unique ring that gives us a stupid amount of resistance too. So everything feels pretty good. Fire resistance, chaos resistance. I don't think we need that. So when I said you should, one thing I do want to mention in case people get confused, I said you want to try and balance around 75% resistances, right? Like the game is balanced around 75% resistances. And that is true for elemental resistances, except chaos resistance is not as much the case. When you're later in the game, like end game-ish, like when you get through the campaign, you do want to start working on your chaos resistance. But when you're going through the campaign, you shouldn't need to worry about chaos damage too much. It's definitely one of those stats that's a little bit harder to get, which is why I kind of I'm hesitant to say like, oh, try and get as much chaos res as you can. Most enemies in the campaign are not doing a stupid amount of chaos damage. Like you're not gonna get one-shotted by them or anything. You shouldn't, at least. Okay, after you kill the guard over here, Clarissa would get up. She is doing the T-bow on one knee. Just make sure that you do wait out her animation. There's been many cases where I would kill this guy and I would keep running and I forget that she still needs to stand up. If you don't talk to her right here, you can't pick up like the main quest, which is super annoying. I don't know why they made it like this, but yeah. So just make sure that you wait it out and actually talk to her. Once you talk to her, she's gonna give you a sob story about how, I don't actually know what the story is, but it's like her lover, yeah, lost in love. You have rescued Clarissa, but still need to find Tolman in the crematorium. So that's sort of like the next phase of the quest. Honestly, I Diablo, okay, the entire series, it's a looter. It's an ARPG, and really the game is about getting good loot in order to fight stronger things, in order to get better loot, right? Like that's sort of the game loop of all these kinds of games. Holy cow, this thing's actually kind of decent, but you know, Diablo is also very much like a story-driven kind of game, right? Like you're playing it to figure out the story. I love the Diablo 2 story. I thought it was so cool. Diablo 1 I actually never really played, so I watched like the cutscenes and I watched it on YouTube, and I thought the Diablo story was great too. And Diablo 3, butterfly lady killed Cain. It was kind of weird, but you know, I still paid attention to the whole thing. Path of Exile is a different kind of beast, okay? And what I mean by that, and don't take it the wrong way, you know, some people say it's a different kind of beast, like, oh, it's so complicated, you know, it's so deep that, you know, you gotta get a PhD to understand. No, like the story, I don't understand it. Like they give it to you in bits and pieces, and also I don't care. Maybe that's a big thing. Like there's a story, but I don't care. I just want to play. You definitely, like, here I'm more about like, oh, I want to refine my build, let me get to the next zone so I can get these loot. Like I'm very loot focused in this game compared to Diablo. Okay, so I got, man, this thing's pretty decent. Triple resistances. I want to equip it, but then I lose even more. I lose clarity. Like, oh man, I'm gonna hit it with a jeweler. I don't know if I should. Okay, it turned into a 4 socket. Okay, that's kind of wild. Should I try linking it? Let me give it some quality. And this is like just We're playing like, we're getting into nitty gritty, but the more quality you add onto a piece of gear, the higher chance you have of linking it. Okay, I missed, but I got a 3-link. That's actually decent. So I can do Frostbolt, Volley, added Lightning. Okay, we can still... Oh, actually, no, Arcane Surge is good. Yeah. Yeah. This works. And give me Frostblink back. So now we have Frostblink here, Clarity here. Oh, now things are looking good.
You getting there?
Now we gotta look for 4-link, but I kind of wasted my currency there. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Honestly, currency is meant to be spent. Okay. But we got a 4-socket, which means we have a stronger Frostbolt, and we got our movement skill back. Do I have an extra blue socket? Oh, if I had an extra blue, that'd be really cool. Because then I could run another aura or another buff. Okay, well, we'll try and do that later. Honestly, at this point, the damage from Frostbolt might just be enough. So we can try speeding through this area a little bit. I'm like probably super over leveled. Yeah, I wouldn't say super over leveled, but 3 levels is quite a lot. Yeah, honestly, actually, Ice Nova is enough as well. We have good damage. So let's do a little bit of let's clear a little faster. You know what's actually really funny? I was, you know, last episode I was kind of mentioning, you know, the different things you can do to clear faster. You know, don't fight white packs. Only fight blue packs. Only fight rare packs if you're like, you know, under leveled basically. Well, rares aren't even packs, right? But the idea is like you want to get maximum value out of fighting enemies, and the most value you're gonna get. Ooh, this helmet, 4-socket, 4 linked already. Blue, green. What am I gonna do with a second green? It's not that bad actually. Maybe I can think about it. Okay. But yeah, so like, but the idea is you want to get maximum value out of fighting every pack, right? So the blues give you the most EXP compared to white enemies, and at the same time, there's like multiple magic mobs in a pack. Whereas if you were to find a yellow enemy, there's only one of them, right? Like a rare, there's only one. But blues come in packs. So like this, you can see like a bunch of them, and you get good XP for it, right? So like only fight blues, you know, maybe don't fight the white mobs. And then also like don't spend too much time in town. But one thing I didn't mention that I thought was pretty funny, and nobody does this, but it's you know, I say this a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's like, you know, don't spend so much time in town. In fact, whenever you go into town, hold your breath. Okay, if you really want to get to a point where you don't spend that much time in town, the moment you go into town, hold your breath, and you're not allowed to breathe until you leave town. That'll really work, right? I actually think we might try an episode where we just, every time we go in town, we just hold my breath. I just hold my breath. And in fact, I bet it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? I could go back to town, but I don't want to hold my breath, so I'm just gonna keep going. That's probably what's gonna happen, and we're gonna go so fast. So maybe let's try that next episode. It'll be hilarious. Oh, she's running with the Frostbolt, which is just amazing because you just get damage, get bursted from this. Okay, great. Woman's bracelet. This is a decent helmet too. Actually, no, it's not as good. It's not as good. Wow. Okay. We don't need any of this. So we're gonna go ahead, talk to Clarissa. She's gonna give us the sewer keys.
Be careful.
And make sure you pick up Tolman's bracelet in that previous area. And then over here for quest reward. Is there hatred? No. I could get a curse. More spell damage. I could get a more spell damage aura, but that costs 50% of my mana. That's a lot. A curse might be cool. Okay, this is the part where I'm just like, we're winging it, right? We're really winging it. I'm gonna get... Okay, sure. Let's get Frostbite. And basically what Frostbite does is it curses enemies, making them more likely to be frozen, makes them take more cold damage. Wait, don't sell this. Don't sell that.
Good luck to you.
And now we have a 2 blue, 2 green.
Hello.
Is there hatred? There is hatred. Okay, never mind. I'm picking up hatred as well. Is there anything else that's good for my build? Okay, so hatred is an aura that gives us cold damage. Only question is... Is it better than... Like, can I even run it? Okay, so let's go to, let's go here. Can I run hatred? I can. And how much mana will I have left? 27 mana.
I need more mana.
It's not the best situation. If I drop my Herald, I do 880 damage versus 873. So hatred gives me more damage. No it doesn't. Hatred gives me more damage for 50% mana reservation. But I could run 2 auras. I could run 2 auras, or 2 buffs that each give me 25%. And that's probably more damage. That's still 50% reservation. Okay, so let's talk to Yina, and let's pick up Herald of Thunder. Here. And then I need a green support gem that's like... something decent.
Go with the spirit.
Like projectile damage. Culling is okay, I guess, but... Is there anything in Act 1? Added cold damage, trap support, void manipulation, volley, swift assembly. There's no good green support gem.
Farewell.
I could hit... I don't know if I can hit this with a chromatic. You're gonna get all kinds of colors here. There's no stat requirement. It's gonna be so random. Oh, whatever. Oh god. Oh god. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Red? Is red any good? Red gives me... red might be even worse. What's red? What can I get with red?
Yes.
There's like no red here. Okay. No. 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 Alright, I'm digging. I'm going into the stash. Okay, don't do what I'm doing. I'm using like my main character's currency. Okay, let's just pretend I never used all that chromatics, okay? Because I really screwed that up. I really screwed that one up. Okay, if that's the case, I guess Frostbolt is getting 4 links then. Frostbolt, volley, added cold damage. You know what? Let's just drop Arcane Surge. Added lightning. Or we can put Arcane Surge somewhere else. Like here. Together with Frostblink. Sure. And then we're gonna run Herald of Thunder with Herald of Ice. Hatred just gets leveled in the background. And oh, I don't have space for Frostbite. Oh, and this helmet has nothing on it. I'm just gonna hit with an Orb of Alchemy then. Stats are garbage. God. Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, and then I'll just level up my curse in the back. that was very messy. Definitely not the way you want to do it. I think it just burned a whole bunch of currency. Again, you probably don't want to actually spend chromatics like I did. Maybe just wait until the right colors drop, and that's sort of like where you should prioritize. You know, like what kind of gear am I looking for? That's where you should be prioritizing. So yeah, so instead of picking up Hatred, I picked up Herald of Thunder, and Herald of Ice. So that each buff is 25% mana reservation, 50% in total. So the two of these equates to one Hatred Aura. Hatred Aura gives me more cold damage, but or increased cold damage, I think. More? I don't know. But Herald of Thunder gives me flat lightning damage, which actually probably increases my damage by quite a bit. Yeah, it goes from 873 to 933. So, oh, that looks pretty good now, right? And also what happens is whenever you crit, you shock an enemy, and shocked enemies take more damage as well. And that's sort of like how lightning damage works. The elemental damage in this game actually do different things. I know there are certain games, like Diablo 3, I think, there's elemental damage, but it was purely there just for damage and for like thematics, I guess. Like, oh, I want to be a fire sorcerer, but like, what does fire actually do? Like, I don't know. You get fire spells, but you know, fire versus cold. Like at the end of the day, it's the same damage type, from my understanding. I didn't get too deep into D3, but in this game, fire, cold, and lightning all have like special effects, and they do different things when you crit. So for example, with cold damage, when you hit something with cold damage, they get chilled. There's like a chance to chill enemies. If we can actually, these things are getting one-shotted, but here you can see when you mouse over to HP, this thing has like a 25% something over his head. He's 25% chilled, which means his action speed is reduced by like 25%. So by default, your cold damage will chill enemies, and then if you crit, they will get frozen, which essentially means that they just can't move anymore. Alternatively, with lightning damage, when you crit somebody with lightning damage, when you hit them normally, it does nothing. The uniqueness of lightning damage is that it has a really high range of damage. So if you look at Herald of Ice, the buff it gives you is like 7 to 10 added cold damage. But if you look at Herald of Lightning, it's 3 to... what? Okay, forget what I said. Rewind, okay? Typically, lightning damage rolls, they roll like really high ranges. So whereas like cold damage tends to roll, I don't know, 5 to 10, lightning damage will roll like 1 to 30. And that's like, you know, lightning is like, it's like super unpredictable. It goes everywhere. That's the theme of lightning, right? And also, if you crit with lightning, they become shocked. And depending on how hard you crit, shocked makes the enemy take up to like 50% increased damage. It's like a crazy amount. So basically, you know, that's a thematic for lightning. And for fire, they get ignited, which means they take damage over time when you crit, based off of like your base damage of fire. So those are like the three themes: fire, lightning, and cold. Chaos tends to be themed around poison damage as well, depending on how you build it. And then there's also like alternative elemental ailments, and they're called like shock, brittle. No, brittle. What are they again? Brittle, sapped, and brittle, sapped, and scorched. And if you were to ask me what those things did, I wouldn't be able to tell you. You gotta Google it, because I had to Google it just now. Basically, you know, aside from shock, chilled, or shock, frozen, and ignite, there are another set where you can basically, depending on situations, if you crit, you can cause brittle instead of freeze. You can cause scorch instead of ignite. But you need like a certain set of item combinations, I think. I don't even know if you can get it through the tree. So it's not something you need to worry about for the campaign, but you know, I gave you like the elemental damage 101 and then accidentally took you to you know, elemental damage 200. So we went a little too far. In the marketplace, so this is my segue real quick. Before, when you were in the sewers, before you get to the marketplace, one of the quests requires you to get 3 of these busts. And as we were talking, we were going through like the sewers, and there were certain sections with like a little exclamation mark. Those were the quest areas, and you just have to make sure you get all 3 busts. If you come out of the sewers and you have less than 3, go back in the sewers and make sure you pick everything up. Once you get the 3 busts, you can go back to town, talk to Hargan, and he will give you a book of skill, and that basically gives you a skill point and 2 passive refund points. So at this point, what should I be getting? We can talk about masteries real quick. So the way masteries work is, notice how in each cluster there's like a little, see this little thing in the middle? You know, in the health cluster there's a life mastery, in the cold cluster there's a cold mastery. Essentially, if you pick up any of these notable nodes, and notable nodes means these bigger nodes. There's 3 kind of nodes in the passive tree. There's the small ones, there's the notable ones, which are slightly bigger and they do a little bit more stuff, and then there are the keystone ones, which does like, it essentially changes your build, right? Like this one, your curses have infinite duration, but you have less effect of your curses. You know, like there are certain things that changes your character completely. Over here you have Eldritch Battery. You spend energy shield before mana, but your energy shield protects mana instead of life. Or over here you have 1 life and then you become immune to chaos damage, which means you need to play pure energy shield. So these things, you know, change. These keystone nodes change your build big time, and then these notables are basically just like, you want to go to this cluster basically for the notable, so you have to pass through the small nodes and get to it, right? Every time you pick up a notable in that cluster, you're given the option of allocating a mastery as well. It still costs a skill point, but you can allocate one. And I'm looking at this, and is there one that is actually like decent? There's nothing that would give immediate benefits, actually. What about in life? Life is decent, plus 50 life. How much does that increase my life by? That's a decent amount. So maybe I'll pick up this life mastery. And then I could maybe think about going for more damage, I guess. Survivability feels pretty good right now.
Still breathing, eh?
Ooh, this wand is decent. Okay, we should check that. We should check that. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, our damage goes up a lot if I replace this wand. I would need to lose links, but luckily my chest has a lot of it. And then this is Frostblink Arcane Search. Am I going to lose my movement skill again? I do not want that. Let's drop some damage on our Frostbolt just so I can keep my movement skill.
Come over here.
And now, how much does Ice Nova do? Ice Nova, controlled destruction. Okay. 986. Okay, cool. Alright, do I have any more quests that I need to do? No, we're looking pretty good. Okay, so now we want to move on, go back to the marketplace. Real quick, in the crematorium, and I didn't really do this because I already did it, but in the crematorium, if you look around, there should be another trial of ascendancy. So like I mentioned in like episode 1 or 2, I don't remember, but there's 1 Trial of Ascendancy in Act 1, 2 in Act 2, and 3 in Act 3. The 2 in Act 2 is in Chamber of Sins and Fellshrine Ruins, or whatever this area is. But it's the crypt and Chamber of Sins, whereas the 3 in Act 3, they're in Crematorium, and then over here the Catacombs, which is next to the Marketplace Waypoint, and the last one is in the Imperial Gardens, which is a little bit further. It's towards the end of Act 3. So just make sure that you pick up the trials. Chances are you will find the Crematorium trials as you're going through the area. You might not. But if you do, you know, or if you don't, you know, go look for it. You should probably do the trial. And then one thing that's easy to miss is the one over here. So this zone, it doesn't go anywhere. All it's used for is the trials. So when you get the Marketplace Waypoint, just walk around the waypoint and you'll see this area. Go inside, do the trials. You can get out and continue on your merry way. Okay, now the damage feels kind of insane.
When I'm ready and not.
I can just like throw an ice bolt, follow it, and just cast Ice Nova along the way, and it just like kind of clears everything in front of me. I wish I had more AoE. That would be pretty nice, but okay. And just like slowly upgrade your life flask, by the way, as you're going through the campaign. If you pick up better life flasks, feel free to just upgrade it. There's really no downsides to upgrading. Flasks actually can be rolled as well, so they can roll white or blue towards, I don't know, at some point you probably want to roll your flask to basically have freeze immunity, but right now we're doing just fine, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, rolling flask is actually like really powerful, and it's one way to just really shore up your defenses if you need it. It doesn't seem to be a problem for me right now, so I'm just gonna keep going. Damage is looking really good, defenses are looking good, so I think I can just keep on trucking, you know? Now, I need to think about how I want to build this thing now. We can grab these. Enemies permanently take 1% increased damage for each second they've been chilled. We can just grab some more damage, I guess. Actually, let me tab out real quick, sorry. Okay, I'm back, sorry. Yeah, let's build some. I think what we'll do is we'll go for this cluster here, Glacial Cage, and then we'll go over here for some auras. And auras are always like really good for your build, I think. Like I mentioned, we're currently running like an aura and 2 buffs, and they're all reserving mana, and it adds a lot of damage and utility and survivability, right? Like the 3 things we got going is 2 damage auras and 1 utility aura to give us mana regeneration. And I'm kind of liking what we're doing right now. So once you pick up the waypoint for Battlefront, which is near the like left side of the area, once you come, go north a little bit and then you can go to the docks. And that's where we'll be doing the next quest. Let me look. How long have we been going for? So we've been going for 45 minutes. We're actually starting to progress through like a lot more of Act 3 at a faster pace. I find Act 3 tends to be a bit of a slog. There's definitely more content in Act 3 compared to like... Actually, Act 2 is pretty slow too. Act 1 is probably the fastest. I don't actually know how long it takes to run each act since I don't pay attention to speedrunning or anything. But to me, Act 3 always felt really slow. Act 4 felt like even slower. And Act 2 was never really too bad for me. On average though, I probably averaged like 1 hour on every act. So I definitely could be faster. There's 2 weeks left actually before the next league starts, which I'm like super looking forward to it, but I am a little concerned because I would like to test this build out, you know, in the end game, and not end up in a situation where it's like it's gonna take me probably 10 to 11 days to finish campaign, right? I'm only in Act 3 and this is like day 5 or something like that since I started recording videos. So I don't want to be in like this weird situation where I'm still in like Act 9 and the league started and I still don't know whether the build is good or not. Like, it feels great while leveling. There's nothing wrong with it. But how does it fare in like maps, which is probably where you're gonna have the most issues actually. You know, when people talk about like, hey, it's fine to make your own build, you'll be just fine. They were not talking about maps, because once you get into maps, which is sort of like the beginning of the end game, that's where you're really gonna see cracks starting to form in your build if you're not doing it right. So I'm hoping this build works. We're gonna have to see. You know, a lot of
Come over here.
the end game or the later games, if you want your build to be like decent, it basically relies on going all in on like some kind of gimmick, whether that's like cold damage or like the interaction between like these sets of items. You know, that's where the knowledge you have on the game really starts to show. By the way, in the docks, the reason why we went to the docks is because we want to pick up the medic soul fight. So once you pick that up and you get the waypoint to the docks, you're good to go. Come back to the battlefront. It's a little confusing. And then we're going to be going into Solaris level 2. You can actually see right here all of our quests, all of our the quest text is like, go to Solaris Temple level 2, go to Solaris Temple level 2. Dude, I don't know what you're thinking, I don't know what you want to do, but I really think you should go to Solaris Temple level 2. Okay, everybody's telling you go to Solaris Temple level 2, except for this one guy who's like, no, go to the Ebony Barracks, you should be going there instead. Where is the Ebony Barracks? You can't even go to Ebony Barracks, you have to go to Solaris level 2 first, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this path is like closed off or something. Anyway, so the gimmick, okay, and I'm kind of saying that quote unquote gimmick that we're going to be doing for our build is like a unique item interaction that deals with power charges. Honestly, I don't even know what the items are called. I need to look it up later, but I think I'm going to be running with that. I saw somebody playing that. I actually didn't see the video of people playing this build, but I saw on the ladder that people were playing the build. I don't know how it actually works because I've never seen a video of it, which is part of the reason why I kind of want to try it out and see how it feels. Sometimes, you know, builds you see online are a little bit deceptive. They have like all these items like day 2, but because they've been playing for like 20 hours a day, day 2 is the equivalent of like, you know, week 3 for me. And it's like you have all these crazy items that takes me forever to get, and this is just not a realistic build for me. So I just want to make sure that we're playing a build that actually works and doesn't require a crazy amount of investment. Typically those kinds of builds are called league starters because those are what you would play at the beginning of a league. So if you are a new player and you're like, you know what, Emnix, fuck this guy, he's taking too long, I don't want to listen to him anymore, I'm just gonna go play my own game, look for a build, go look for a league starter, right? Like, people are gonna call it that. Hey, what are some good league starters? Look for decent league starters. There are tons of content creators who make great video guides on different variations of league starters, and the idea of those builds is that you don't need like specific sets of items or, you know, combinations of items in order to make your build work. It just works with just like the hodgepodge of items that you're gonna have by the end of the campaign, right? So there's like no or unique requirements or anything like that. This build has like quite a few unique item requirements, and I think the idea is I'm gonna have to buy. Actually, no. I'm gonna have to buy those unique items, but I'm really hopeful that you don't need those items to have a decent build. Like right now, I don't have those unique items, and it still feels pretty good, right? So I just want to make sure that it still feels good by the time I get to the end game. I'm not sure. Maybe it won't. You never know, right? God, Solaris Temple. I think this is such a cool level. Like the level design of this area. I really like it. But it's so long and so windy. I get lost here all the time. I looked up like a... It wasn't a guide, but it was like a quick tip of like how to get through this area faster. And the tip was just like follow the carpet. I feel like I've been following the carpet for a long time, man. I've been doing nothing but following the carpet. But it's like crossroads, like which carpet do I follow, like which... Oh, actually, maybe this way? Nope, 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 that's the end of the carpet. Oh, it's actually here. Okay, wow, good. So I'm assuming I do the same here, just follow the carpet. What the hell? Dude, I'm gonna fall straight down a friggin' ledge, man. Okay, no, there's more carpet here. I see it. Nope, more ledge. Oh wait, no, here. Okay, this following the carpet method is really starting to break down. I'm starting to think that maybe I watched like a bad video. I've been sold snake oil, man. Okay. Real quick. Divination cards. Long story short, there's like 1 million divination cards in this game. It's like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't actually play it, but the idea is you collect cards, and then when you collect the full set, you can redeem it for items. So this Master Artisan card, if you collect 5 of them, you get 20 quality currencies, which are armor scraps, blacksmith whetstone. So this improves the quality of a weapon. This improves the quality of an armor. There's also currencies that improve the quality of skill gems. There's a currency that improves the quality of maps. And there's a currency that improves the quality of flasks. I think those are the 5 main ones. Maybe I'm missing one, but I think those are the ones that that I don't know. That's the ones I could think of. Over here, you got another mechanic. Okay, millions of mechanics in this game, but this one's pretty straightforward. This is called the Vol side area. If you go in, this is like a preview of what maps are like. So it's an instant zone with like extra mods. So one mod makes it so that monsters deal 35% extra physical damage as cold, but you get 12% increased quantity of items found in this area. So you go through this. It's a tiny little area. You don't need to kill everything, but you do need to kill the boss. Once you kill the boss, there's like this veil vessel thing that you can click, and it drops something called a Vol skill gem, which is like an ultimate version of a skill gem. And we can take a look real quick. I wouldn't mind getting like a Vol Ice Nova. That would be sick. So let's see if that is available. I mean, it's basically luck of the draw. And then later on in the game, Vol side areas also drop these things called like sacrifice pieces. And they look like little puzzle pieces, and the idea is if you gather 4 of those pieces together and run them in like in the end game, you can form it into like a boss fight. So a lot of people ask like, hey, what are these pieces for? You're not gonna see it for a while, but the idea is it's used in the end game to fight like a specific boss. Okay, so that was, you know, the boss of this level. And then here's the Vol vessel. So if you click it, I got Vol Righteous Fire. I can't tell you how disappointed I am. That's not what I wanted. Okay, it is what it is. And then also equipment out of this thing drops corrupted. So you look at this and you're like, hey man, the stats on this is pretty good. But the sockets are kind of bad, right? Because I'm looking for blue sockets right now. Because I have so many blue support gems. I don't have any red ones. And you're like, well, no problem. You can do that thing where you use your orbs and re-roll the number of sockets and then, you know, roll the number of links and all that stuff. And unfortunately, you cannot. And the reason for that is these items are corrupted. Corrupted items basically, they change your items to a point where you cannot change them anymore. Unless you use like specific methods, okay? But generally speaking, corrupted items cannot be crafted any further. So you get what you get and you don't get upset, long story short, right? So these things can't be changed. If they're good, sometimes they drop like really, like they come out like fully juiced and it's like super strong, because corrupted items can get like rolled in like really unpredictable ways, and there's always a chance that they do like high rolls. There's like some mathematical formula where, you know, a corrupted item has a chance to roll like really high tiers of stats. But, you know, the downside to that is, you know, you can't change the item afterwards. In this case, all of these corrupted items are not very good.
What is that?
Okay, so we want Dexterity Amulet, I think.
The cockroach. I like a dash.
And then we get the Infernal Talc.
Believe me, not a cockroach.
And, ooh, this amulet is kind of nice. Spell damage, cast speed, you get some resistance. Crit Strike multi is like, typically you don't want to build crit early on in the game just because you need a lot of gear in order to get it going. You know, you want to have high crit strike chance and high crit strike multi chance. But
Yes.
like, that's a pretty nice item. The crit strike multi isn't going to do too much for me, but
Watch yourself.
You goodbye, exile.
okay. Honestly, things are looking pretty good. This Righteous Fire Gem, honestly,
Yes.
I'm selling it.
Bye.
Just, it's not gonna do it for us. And then after you get the Infernal Talc, you're gonna use the Talc / baby powder to just clear up the butthole, okay? You're clearing up the diaper rash. The Undying Blockade. You can't tell me that this is not a butthole. this is the ultimate sphincter. Okay? So go ahead, we're just gonna pour some hot sauce over there, set it on fire. Why did they make a butthole? I just don't understand. Why did they do it like that? There's also a crafting recipe over here. I already clicked it with another character, but don't forget about it. And now we are in the Ebony Barracks. Pick up the waypoint right here, and then we're gonna go kill General Gravity's. Oh my god, it's been an hour? This game just goes, it takes all your time, man. Time is going too fast. Increased effects of chill. Sure, it's fine.
Life is too precious to waste on you.
Oh my god, jewels. Another mechanic that I need to explain. Okay, well, we'll just... Honestly, why am I picking up mana flasks? I have a mana flask here. I don't think I've ever used it. Like, my mana regen is good enough that I don't need a mana flask. So really, I should be replacing it with a utility flask. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Once I find some kind of utility flask, I'm gonna replace it because the mana flask is not necessary. Okay, so here's Gravicius. Be careful of this guy. He actually does quite a bit of damage. His fire damage is quite painful, especially if you don't have enough fire resistance. He spreads burning ground, which causes you to take damage over time if you stand over it. So just be careful of all that. Just make sure that, you know, don't step on these, you avoid his attacks. and then just manage your flasks properly, and then you should be fine.
Fought for God. Who do you fight for, exile?
Okay, so with the death of Gravesius, I don't actually think this affects our build too much, but typically when you kill Gravesius, you unlock like a lot of skill gems. Yeah, a lot of skill gems. So if you want to try out some like different attacks, this is your chance, man. You get all kinds of cool gems. Eye of Winter, over here you get a Glacial Cascade. So like, obviously I'm not gonna run these. I'm gonna pick up Eye of Winter because I've actually never played this build.
Nothing else.
I've never played the skill even. Like, forget the build. This was like a new skill that got released at some point. I never even got to try it out. Is there anything else? I just want to try it. And like, this is something you can do too. Just like swap out your gems and try it out. Obviously you can't just swap out like a
Be careful.
like a fire gem.
Just
You know what I mean? Like you're running a cold build, all of your stats are built around cold stuff, and then you try and run a... This jewel is like kind of good. It's like double crit multi. Unfortunately, it's a melee jewel. But I can talk about jewels real quick. So basically, jewels, if you were to mouse over it, you can see at the bottom it says place into an allocated jewel socket on the passive skill tree. So there are jewel sockets on your tree. So if you were to control F, you could see jewel. Okay, so there's, well, jewel sockets up here, but also jewel sockets down here. So there's a jewel socket here, jewel socket here, jewel socket over here. And the idea is if you allocate the jewel socket, you can put any kind of jewel in there. So you can put like this jewel into this jewel socket, and then you get those stats. That's basically it. These jewels can be rolled, they can be blue, they can be yellow, they could be corrupted, they could be unique. And then you can have all kinds of different jewels. There's also something called cluster jewels, which we will get to the later date. This guy here, I don't need it. Let's just sell it. It's a pretty good jewel, since it has double crit multi. That would be useful for a build. I don't know, just like running critical strike stuff.
Yes.
Typically in the end game. Again, you're probably not doing crit stuff until you're like much later in the game. But yeah. Okay, Eye of Winter. I kind of want to try this skill. So projectile fires a single eye projectile, constantly releases shard. Modifiers to projectile only apply to the final spiral? What does that even mean? Okay, so Frostbolt. Okay, I'm losing Frostbolt. Ooh. Hey, can we try this? Oh, it looks so cool. It's not very good, by the way. If you can't tell, it's not very good. Maybe because I'm not building around it. And like, that's what I mean by like, typically you want to hyper focus on skills. To like build around the characteristics of that skill, right? But like, you know, I basically just built around cold damage. So I had assumed that all cold skills would work just fine, but I guess some skills work better than others because this one is not very good. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Holy cow. Okay. Get out of here, man. I need my Frostbolt back. I'm definitely not doing enough damage here. Oh, here's another Vol side area. It's a lot of stuff to do. But it's already been an hour and I kind of should end it right here, but I don't want to end it because I want to keep playing. Like, I'm in that unfortunate situation, right? Yeah, Frostbolt feels so much better, by the way. Ow, these guys hurt though. Again, make sure that you're just using your flasks when necessary. Flasks add so much defense to your build that you'd be hard pressed to play this game without it, I think. So just, you know, I think a lot of people don't remember to use their flasks because they're just not used to like pianoing the 1, 2, 3, 4 keys. But it's definitely something that you should be looking to do. Here's another 4 link. I could consider it. Actually, it's 4 linked. Yeah, I should totally do it. Yeah, and it's level 32 and it's not rolled. Okay, well, let's wait till we actually hit level 32 before using it. And then maybe I can try rolling this thing with, I don't know. I don't have a orb of alchemy even. So I guess I could turn it blue. Ow. This guy hurts. Ball Ice Nova? Nope. Ball Ground Slam.
Too much clutter.
Yuck. Oops, misclicked there. Alright, let's just find a waypoint. I'm pretty sure there's a waypoint like not too far away. The layouts are randomized, so it's not the same every time, but there's only like a certain number of layouts. So you can't really screw it up. Okay, there's Cole, which is just like dumber and bloodier Brutus. I think the story goes like Piety was looking at how to make Brutus, and then she made Cole, which is like Brutus Light. I mean, he got destroyed there, but he does do quite a bit of damage, similar to Brutus. So just keep an eye on that dude. And just be careful when you fight him. But right now, like, we're so over-geared and over-leveled that everything's just getting wrecked. Which is how I want to play this game. I was playing Diablo... I'm going back to this Diablo 4 conversation, but I was playing Diablo 4, and, like... I was, you know, everything scales with your level. So, like, I like to over-level content and then just, like, destroy it. But Diablo 4, it's like, as you level up, the enemies scale with you. So, like, no matter what you did, like, these rares would take, like, a good 10 seconds to kill. And it was, like, their HP just wasn't moving. And I would have to, like, sit here and do this, like, non-stop just to get, you know, get these guys killed. And I was not... I wished it wasn't like that, I guess. Although I think PoE 2 might be like that. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. Okay, so here's the waypoint. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. Ooh, sorry, punched my microphone. I'm gonna cut it right here. We are now towards the latter half of Act 3. We actually did a lot more this hour than last act. Probably because we're not explaining as many things. There weren't as many new mechanics here. But that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. Otherwise, keep in touch, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.